Hello everyone and happy Friday. It is the last day of my husband's spring break and then like the last weekend. So we are going down to one of my friends, a couple friends' houses. They live about 4.5 hours away from us, so there's going to be a lot of driving this weekend. So I thought it would be a fun time to start a little reading vlog because I tend to read a lot in the car, like I said in my books I want to read before moving video. So I am just in the car right now waiting for us to go. But my plans for the way down is to finish reading the Jane Eyre chapters that I need to read for the Tuesday podcast for the Literary Life. I think that'll be up to chapter 12, like read chapter 12, and then stop, and I'm on chapter 9. So it's only a couple chapters, it shouldn't take that long. And then for the rest of the drive, I'm planning to read This Story Might Save Your Life by Tiffany Crum. I'm really excited for the reading time because it is kind of like a backroadsy kind of drive, so it'll be really pretty and fun to do that. And then whenever I finish This Story Might Save Your Life, I brought Theo of Golden with me to start as well. So yeah, those are kind of my reading plans for this little travel weekend adventure that we're having, and I'm really excited to share them with you. So come along as we start our little road trip, and I hope you enjoy. Hi everyone, so we are about an hour and a half, or a little bit more than an hour and a half into the drive, and we have about 2 hours and 45 minutes left now. And I just finished reading my chapters for Jane Eyre. It took a little bit longer than I was hoping that it would take just because we were tired when we started driving, so it was like early, so I was trying to help keep William awake while he's driving and everything, and just in like enjoying the drive and chatting a little bit as well, just to keep us awake and stuff. But I really enjoyed the chapters that I read today. I kind of finished seeing her at her position at Lowood School, and then now she is finally has moved to Thornfield Hall. And in the chapter I just read, she has met someone that she didn't know his identity at first. So that was really fun to kind of read those things. The chapters about her being at the school were really sad. It made me sad, but they're really good too, and like cause her to think about a lot of things. So it's been interesting just to see the different mindsets that she's kind of going through at the different stages in her life and everything. And yeah, so now like when she was at the school, it was like a span of like 8 years, so that started when she was 10, so she's like 18 now, and she's been at Thornfield Hall for a couple of months and everything. So yeah, that is Jane Eyre so far, and now I'm going to switch to reading This Story Might Save Your Life. So I will come back and give you another update when I've made some more progress in that. Yeah. So when I last updated you guys, I was about like 40 pages into The Story Might Save Your Life, and it's been like 2 hours now, or 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I have read up to page like 130 almost. I'm at 128 of The Story Might Save Your Life, and things are definitely getting interesting. There was a period of the book, like up until probably like page 100 or 110, where things were kind of like not picking up as fast as I thought that they would. It just like was on day one for like a really long time, and each day is lasting really long, and it made sense for like day one to last long, but it started on day zero, and it would make sense for day zero to like last a long time because that's when she actually went missing. But I feel like there's a lot of going back and forth between, and like that's the point, like the book is written like alternating chapters between Joy's memoir and Benny like explaining what's happening in the present moment. But I think sometimes the back and forth like doesn't let you get to the next part of the story like fast enough. So it's a little bit disengaging when that kind of happens, because the backstory is still interesting and like dramatic and everything. But I'm just kind of wanting to know like what's happening in the present moment because Joy is missing, and that's what's most like exciting to me, I guess. But yeah, I think all of the characters are really interesting, and there are a lot of different relationships. There's different parent relationships, different sibling relationships. There's the relationships with all the different friends too, and like how all of that looks. So it's interesting to kind of read about how everybody's interacting and also how everybody's like acting in this situation, because there's people that like haven't been in contact that are like coming into the story, and people that are distant that are coming into the story because of kind of what's happened to Joy. So that's been really fun. It's definitely picking up now. I'm, like I said, around page 128 to where we're getting more interesting information and like bigger, not necessarily bigger things are starting to happen. I just think like the plot is starting to move a little bit faster because we're getting a little bit more info about kind of what has brought all of this about, I guess, or like what some possible motives are. So I'm not really feeling like I'm able to predict anything that's going to happen or anything, just because I don't know. I don't read mystery thrillers, so it's kind of hard for me to guess on that kind of thing. And also, like, there's different motives that each character could kind of have, but it's not like we don't see a lot of suspects, lined up. I feel like you might see in other books where it's like, okay, there's these three possible people, and one of these people is going to be the person that did it. It's not really like that with this book. It's just kind of like right now, at least at the point I'm at, like we're getting all the relationships and that kind of thing established and seeing how things are going and like hearing some information. But yeah, it's definitely picking up, so I'm excited to keep reading it. This will probably be my last update on the trip down, just because we're getting pretty close now. We're like 30 minutes away, so I'm gonna just keep reading till we get there, and then when we get there, I'll obviously be involved with that and enjoy seeing my friends and everything. So I'll probably see you guys again when we are heading back. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next update. Hello everyone, it is now Sunday and we just got in the car to head home. We're filling up gas now, but we had a really sweet trip. It was super fun to spend time with these friends. We hadn't seen them since October, and that was just for a little bit for a wedding, so it was really good to just spend an extended amount of time chatting with them and doing fun things. But yeah, I didn't have a lot of time to read because we were just talking and enjoying time with each other, and that was great. I think I read like 4 or 5 pages, so I really haven't made much progress at all in The Story Might Save Your Life, but that is what I'll be reading on the way back, so I will keep you guys posted on all of that. And yeah, that's where we're at.
everyone. So as you can see, we are back home now, or I'm back home now, and it has been a couple days since I got back. Yesterday I had a lot of work to do, so I was just kind of busy doing that, and it was also kind of a rainy and yucky day, and I don't feel super motivated doing rainy and yucky days, but I was able to get a little bit of reading done. But first I will update you on where I left off after the trip. So I ended up finishing This Story Might Save Your Life literally as we pulled into the parking lot, so that was awesome. That was a very satisfying feeling. I hope that you guys get to experience that at least once in your life. But yeah, I was not expecting, honestly, to finish this book on the drive back because I still had like 150 or maybe even 200 pages left. I don't honestly remember. But I had quite a few pages left when we started the drive back, and so I was a little weary that I would end up finishing, especially because I was kind of tired after the trip. But I did end up finishing it. It started moving really quickly. Once it got to the like part 2 mark, there's a first part and then there's a second part. And in like the first part, you're following back and forth between the autobiography that Joy, the main podcaster that's gone missing, her autobiography parts, and Benny like in the present moment talking about things, and then they kind of start to line up. So like the last part of part 1, or like I think it ends on a part from Benny, but the last part of part 1 for her is like her last autobiography entry before she goes missing. I thought that was a really good format too, because then it really did make the second part of the book move super, super fast, because you're like, okay, now everything's in the present moment and it gets super exciting. That was really, really well done, and I enjoyed the kind of format of telling that story. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, don't read mystery thrillers very much, and I was looking on Fable, and this book is actually categorized as a romance in some categories, which I thought was kind of interesting, and it does make sense because there is a romance in the book, but I guess to me it seemed like the kidnapping and that kind of thing was more of the main point of the book, and so in my head it's a mystery thriller, and I think it is still considered that like as the main category, but I was kind of interested to see that it was even categorized as romance at all. But I did enjoy that part of the story. I think the plot moved really fast, and that was really interesting, and it was definitely like, it handled a lot of hard topics. I would definitely check trigger warnings for this book if there's anything you're sensitive to, because it was a lot darker than I was expecting, honestly. I didn't expect some of the darker things from the book to be so central to like what was happening, and they really were. And so that is definitely something I would check into before reading if you're interested in picking this one up. But I thought that the author, that Tiffany Crum, she really handled those topics really well, and in a way that was tactful and also like important. I think it brought a lot of important light to those topics as well, and didn't like make any character out to be like necessarily a villain of his own accord or her own accord, but just like kind of handles the complexities of life in an interesting way, and like what makes somebody be the way that they are. I thought that was really, really well done, and very interesting. And then also some of the reflections that the characters were having at the end of the book after they're kind of thinking about everything that had happened in the book, in like the epilogue part, that was really well done too. So I really appreciated that part of the book. My one thing with this book, and I haven't read a lot of mystery thrillers, so I don't know if this is just like something that is not as important to mystery thrillers or mystery books, is that to me the characters kind of didn't feel flat, but they didn't feel fully developed, I guess. Their personalities weren't super huge, and didn't play a big role into the story, I guess. And I think because it was, like I said, a mystery, that was fine, because the character, like, it wasn't really a character study. It was kind of like a relationship study almost, and like a just really plot-driven book. So, but I love characters, and so I would have liked to see the characters develop just a tiny bit more. But I do think it was interesting still, what she did do. So yeah, I think I gave this a 4-star on Goodreads and Fable, so I will give this a 4-star here as well. But yeah, it was really good. I liked it. For somebody that doesn't read mystery thrillers, I would recommend it to other people. Again, just checking those trigger warnings to make sure that if you're sensitive to those things, that it doesn't really bother you, or like, not that it won't bother you, but like making sure that you're not getting into anything that's going to harm you, because I do think that's important with this one. But yeah, that is This Story Might Save Your Life by Tiffany Crum. And then yesterday, well, actually, did I start it Sunday night? I might have started it Sunday night. I started Theo of Golden. I did start Sunday night because I had made some progress when I picked it up again yesterday. I started Theo of Golden by Alan Levi. Like I said in my books I want to read before moving overseas video, this is a book that my boss recommended to me. But this one, like I said in that video, is just about a man who goes into a cafe and finds like 92 portraits on the wall. And he decides that he wants to buy all of those portraits and sell, or not sell them, he wants to give them back to the people that they are of, and kind of hear their stories if they're willing to share. And already this book is so super sweet. The old man is really, really endearing, and he's kind of interesting because we're not really learning, or we don't really learn about a lot about him right up front. We kind of have a lot of questions about like, who is Theo? Where did he come from? He doesn't have a last name in the book. He never gives a last name, at least up to the point I met him on like 80 pages in. But yeah, so that has been really interesting to kind of be pulled along by his mystery, but then also just really interesting townspeople. They are definitely very lively and well thought out characters, which I've really enjoyed. I feel like it can be hard when you're writing a story with so many characters, which is like the nature of this book, because I don't know if he's going to talk to all 92 people, but at least so far he's talked to like 6 or 7 people in the books, so I don't know if they're all going to be in there, but when there's that many characters, I feel like a lot of the time it can be hard to like make them stand out, or like to make 92 original characters, you know. But Alan Levi has done a really, really good job, at least with the characters that I've read so far, just making them stand out and making them unique and giving them all deep stories. And so I really have enjoyed seeing that, enjoyed learning a little bits and pieces about Theo's history as well, as we're kind of pulling along. So I'm kind of at the point with him now where he's getting a little more settled into Golden and everything, so don't know a lot about his history yet, but he's working with a guy to kind of get himself established in the town and everything. So yeah, that is my reading update for now. Today I am just doing some video editing and some work stuff, and then I will probably read for a little bit this evening, but probably not have a lot of time to read, so I will give you guys an update the next time I have one, but that is where I'm at. Hey everyone, it is now Friday again, so it's been a couple of days since my last little reading update, and I've gotten a little bit of reading done. I've read a few more chapters of Theo of Golden, and I'm really, really enjoying it, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I just haven't gotten a ton of reading done because it's been a little bit of a busier week with work and after work activities and kind of things going on. Yesterday night was Thursday night, so I ended up going on a date with my husband, which was really fun, and he actually got me this book, Funny Story by Emily Henry, while we were on the date. So if you have read this before and you liked it, let me know, because I'll be adding this to my books that I need to read. Probably not before I move, but I don't know, maybe, because I do like rom-coms in the summer and spring, so that'd be a fun one to read just over the summer, really quick read too, hopefully. Yeah, I've just had a little bit of time, like around bedtime, or a lot of the time I do my reading like when I'm waiting for things, so like waiting before appointments or waiting like to leave to go to the gym or something. So I've gotten a little bit of reading done that way, and I have really loved Theo of Golden so far. It has been such a sweet, sweet read. There are so many points that bring me like really, really close to tears, but they're all so good. It's such a good book, and it's really, really poignant, I think, about like kindness and just doing things not for the sake of being seen by others, just doing them because it's like a good thing to do, or not necessarily like the right thing to do. Like it's not required that it's done, but it's just a good thing to do. And I really like that. I really like the character of Theo, and it's been interesting to get little bits more of his story, which is really heartbreaking too, but is also very good. Very well written, and I love the writing style of the book too. I feel like it is not a style that you see a lot of anymore. The prose is very poetic, and that is just really, really beautiful, and you can tell that there's a lot of like intention, I think, put into making it feel that way. And I think that it is fitting for Theo being like an older man character, that the prose would feel that way, because I feel like at that point in Theo's life, he's obviously very reflective and is kind of thinking about like what's important to him. And I feel like when we are feeling reflective and stuff like that, sometimes it can make us sound a little bit more poetic, or a little more like whimsical is not quite the right word, but something like that, kind of dreamy, kind of like very wise, but in a way that's expressed in the writing and language itself of the book too. So I've really been enjoying that read, and I'm hoping to finish it up today, probably. We are leaving for another trip today, and so I'll have a lot of time to read in the car. This drive is 9 hours long, I think, 8 or 9 hours long, so I will have plenty of time to read it in the car today. Yeah, so I'm super excited for this weekend to have a lot of time to read in the car and everything, but also for everything that we're gonna do. So it'll be super fun. I'm hoping to read Theo of Golden while we're on that trip, to start reading Cloud Cuckoo Land and probably The Bright Years by Sarah DeMoff as well, and then to continue reading my Jane Eyre as well, because I listened to the podcast for that on Tuesday. I don't remember if I talked about it, like listening to the podcast, but I did listen to the podcast. It was really good. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing that, and I've been enjoying like following along with the reading, so I'll keep doing that as well. That is my last little update for reading for this vlog, but like I said, I'll update you guys again when I finish Theo of Golden, just so you kind of have my final thoughts on the book as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go read while I'm waiting to leave for our trip, but yeah, and I will come back to you guys when I am done with the book. Hey everyone, it is now a few days later and I have just come back from our last trip. It was the second trip that I've taken in this video. So this video is now taken like 9 days of recording and everything, which is kind of fun, but I am finally able to wrap it up because I have finished Theo of Golden. I finished it on the drive down to our last trip on Friday. I spent around 6 hours of the 10-hour car ride reading this book, and I think I was about like, I was 170 or so pages in when we started the drive, and I think the book is like 370 pages. I think. I could be wrong. I could be inflating that. Nope, I'm about right. It's a little bit longer than that. It's about 380 pages. So I finished that in the car. It was super fun. I had a really, really, really great time finishing this book and reading it all around. If you can't guess, I have given it a 5-star rating on my Goodreads and Fable. And I really think that this is a great, great book for a lot of reasons. The biggest thing that stands out to me about the book in general is the prose. It is just such beautiful prose. I feel like it is really hard to find books with this quality of writing anymore. It is almost poetic. It is really poetic in a lot of places, the prose, and that just adds so much to the story. It adds so much to Theo's voice as a character, and that was really, really, really well done, and so I definitely enjoyed that. I also enjoyed just the realness of this story. I really like that the author did not try to like make things go how you think they should go, to like tie it all up in a pretty bow at the end of the story, you know, like he kept it real and like made it like the story according to the way that like real life could go, you know, you aren't always expecting kind of things that are going to happen, and so there was a lot in this book that kind of took me aback a bit because I was like, I can't believe that he actually wrote that actually happened, but I think that really elevated the quality of the book too, because it wasn't just like what you were hoping would happen. You get to see how characters respond in situations that aren't ideal, and I think that that's so important, and the author did a really good job handling that and handling the topics and how characters kind of responded to all of the different things happening in the book. I really loved Theo as a character in this novel. He is just so wise and selfless and so many things. I don't want to say a lot about the book because there is just a lot of different twists and turns that it takes that I really feel like is best when you experience it for yourself and get to like read it authentically, I guess. And I don't want to spoil anything either because like just the feelings of like, wow, that wasn't what I was expecting to happen are played a big part into like how you process the story. So I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but yeah, that is Theo of Golden. It is just an amazing, amazing quality book, but I would definitely recommend it. It was such a good read, and I am just so glad that I picked this up and read it and just kind of read it through. I think it reads really well when you sit and are able to read it in long sittings just because you're processing so much and the story is moving in such a kind of a quick way, but also a good way. It's just good to have all the thoughts of what's been happening in your head as you're reading it. So it is definitely a book that you could binge read if you really wanted to. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on Theo of Golden. I hope that you will check it out, and if you do, let me know if you enjoy it in the comments down below. But yeah, that's Theo of Golden. And with the end of Theo of Golden, we have made it to the end of my very first reading vlog. I hope that you guys have enjoyed. I hope that you have had a fun time just seeing the different books that I've been reading over this spring break kind of period, and just enjoyed my thoughts on them. I hope that you have found something that maybe you want to read or had wanted to read, and now because you see me read it, you're inspired to read it, and that kind of thing. Overall, I just hope that you enjoyed spending some bookish time with me over spring break. I hope that if you have had spring break, that it was really restful and fun and good, and if you have spring break coming up, that you also enjoy that time. I know that everybody kind of gets antsy for summer around this time of year. I know I do especially, so I wish you all the happiest of spring breaks, or the happiest of time as you just get ready to head into summer break, or whatever season of life that you're in, that you are just enjoying the warmer weather and all of those things. I thank you so much for watching this video and just taking the time to hear my thoughts. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!